Now we'll see the first level cache. Now we'll see the first level cache. What is the first level cache? Now try to understanding here. This is my database. This is my database. This is my database or the BMS. This database having one table, that is products. This database table having one table, that is products. Now PID, PName, the next price. 3 columns are there. Under that 1001, the next Sony, price is 2000. By using load method, we can load that record from DB to front end application. After getting the session object, now we can use object O is equal to session.load method or get method, and we can load that record. Whenever we are loading that record, first that record is going to be stored into the in cache memory. First that record is loaded into the cache memory. Who is going to be maintained by this cache memory? Session object. Session object is going to be maintained by this cache memory. Whenever we are loading that, first that record is going to be loaded into the cache memory. 1001 Sony, the next 2000. Like that, this record is loaded to the cache memory, and it is stored into that object inside the cache memory. After that, we can modifying that object any number of times. See now here, product P is equal to product of O. The next after that, P dot set price. I am setting here 3000. The next, once again I am going to modifying same object, P dot set price. 2 times I am modified that object. Whenever we modified like this, now this 2 times it is going to be modified inside the cache memory. Each and every time it is not hitting the database. Whenever we are taking the JDBC, how many times we are modifying that object, that many times we are going to hitting to the database, and it is going to be modified that object. But in Hibernate, we are going to maintain the cache memory. Hibernate framework is going to be maintained by the cache memory. Who is going to be pointing to that cache memory? Session object is going to be pointing to that cache memory. Whenever we are loading the record, first that record is stored into the cache memory. After that I am going to modifying 2 times in my application. So now that modification is done inside the cache memory only. Once again I am modifying that object. That modification is done inside the cache memory only. Then finally this effect is done database. This effect is done in database. So now finally it is going to be stored into the 4000. That means how many times we are hitting the database? We are hitting to the only one time. That means now number of cycles are reduced from front-end application to back-end application. If the number of cycles are reducing, then our application performance is going to be increased. How much time this cache memory is available? How much time this cache memory is available? Here we are opening the connection object. That means session is equal to factory.open session. That is opening the session object. Along with that session object, cache memory also is coming. Some buffer area is going to be coming. Then when it is going to be closed, whenever we are taking to the session dot close, then automatically okay, that session object is going to be destroyed, okay, or closed from the cache memory. Right? Now we'll see this example practically. Now we'll see that example practically. Right. So now test Eclipse. Fine. Now here go to the client application. See now here I am loading one record from DB to front-end application. After that I am going to set it modification values. Now here p dot set price. See now here I am taken 5000. The next once again I am going to modifying p dot set price. The next 6000. The next after that transaction tx equal to session dot begin transaction. The next after that session dot update p. Then next after that must and should we have to give the commit tx dot commit. Then object is updated successfully. Now just observing here, go to the database and we can check it out. Connect Durga Tech slash Durga Tech. The next after that select star from products. select star from products. Now right now 4000 is there. Now I am going to running my application. Run as Java application. Java application. Based on the query generation, we can find out how many times we are hitting the database. See now here. So now how many queries are going to be generated here? Only one query is generated. Only one query is generated, but the object is modified 2 times. Select star from products. First I set it 5000, then next I set it what? 6000. Right? So this is the way we can maintain the first level cache. This is the first level cache. When this cache memory is removed, whenever we are closing session.close. Now here, what is the difference between update method and merge method? What is the difference between update method and merge method? What is the difference between merge method and update method? The update method is related to a particular session object. Update method is related to particular session object, right? It is related to a particular session object. It is not related to 2 or 3 session objects. Now I am loading the one object from DB to front-end application. After loading the one object from DB to front-end application, then we can modifying and we can use the update method, and happily it is going to update a database. Now I am loading the one object from DB to front-end application. After that I modified that object, then I am going to closing that connection object, that means session object. Now I am going to loading to the same object once again through another session object. Same object I am going to loading to the another session object, right? Now at that time, whenever we are using the update method, it doesn't work. Whereas whenever we are using the merge method, it is going to be merging the previous session as well as current session object, and finally it is given to the updation. So now here, listen carefully. Not understand means listen carefully. Here I am getting the one object from DB to front-end application, right? See now how to getting the one object to DB to front-end application? Session is equal to, okay, now session is equal to factory dot open session. The next after that, object O is equal to session dot get method. Now here I am passing product dot class, the next new integer of 1001. Then next after that I am going to typecast into product P is equal to product of O. The next P dot set price 4000. After that I am going to closing the session object. Session dot close. Then next I am going to opening another session object. Session 1 is equal to factory dot open session, factory dot open session, factory dot open session, right? After that I am going to loading once again that object o1 is equal to session dot get method, then session 1 or session 1, session 1, then product dot class comma new integer of 1001. After that what I am going to doing here, session 1 dot, okay, session 1 dot, before giving to the session 1 dot update or merge, what we have to take? Transaction, right? This is what? DML operation. Transaction tx is equal to session 1. Session 1 dot begin transaction. Begin transaction. After that I am going to use session 1 dot update of P. Then after that tx dot commit, whenever we are using the update method here, we are going to getting an exception, whereas instead of update method, whenever we are using the here merge method, session 1 dot merge. Now we can use here what? P. Now the functionality of this merge method is, it is going to combined first session object as well as second session object, and finally it is going to be updating, but same ID. Here we can observing very clearly same ID 1001 only. Okay, 1001 only I am loading, but unfortunately this session object is going to be closed. But I want to updating at any cost that object from deep front end application to back end application. In that case, now second session object is going to be involved and it is going to be updating to the database. At that time, whenever we are using the update method, it doesn't work, then must and should we need to use what? Merge method only. Now we'll see here. So now I am using get method. Then next, present 6000 is there. I am going to modifying, okay, 6000 to 5000. After that, what I am going to doing here, session dot close. Then next, after that I am going to opening the one more session. Now session 1 is equal to factory dot, who is given to the all these session objects, factory class, right? Factory class. Now factory dot open session. Then next, after that what we have to do here, object o1 is equal to session 1 dot get method. Under that we can pass product dot class, comma new integer of, now what I am passing here, 1001. Then next, after that I am going to take here transaction tx is equal to session1 dot. Session1 dot begin transaction. Then next after that here session1 dot update. Session1 dot update. Now we will see this example. Then right click, run as Java application. We are going to getting what? Non-unique object exception. We are going to getting what? Non-unique object exception. But I want to same object only, right? Non-unique object exception we are going to getting. Instead of using here, instead of using update method, we can use what? Merge method. We can use what? Merge method. Now right click, run as Java application. What is the problem? Session was already closed data. That is problem is what? We are closing already, then once again we are closing here session 1, but not, okay, session. Already we are closing, na? Okay, here we are closing what? Session 1, okay, we have to close here. So now I am going to modifying once again 6000. Then right click, run as Java application. We are going to be getting perfect, right? So now here go to the database and we can check it out. 6000 is coming. First 5000, the next 6000. So now here can I use the load method? I am going to use load method here. Load method. Load method. Run as Java application. Okay, it is fine. Okay, not an issue. We can use say the load method or get method, right? This is the difference between merge method and update method. Fine. Now, at what time, how many times we are modifying our object? How many times we are modifying our object? I want to finding that information. Okay, we are modifying 10 times now, 15 times now, 2 times now. How many times we are modified our object? In a database, how many times we are modifying? If you want to finding that information, now we have to go for one small concept called that is versioning concept. Versioning concept. Versioning concept. We have to go for versioning concept. Using versioning concept, we can find out how many times we modified our object. Now here, if we want to apply the versioning concept, versioning concept. If we want to apply the versioning concept in our application, we have to do the two modifications. Number one, in our Pojo class, along with our properties, we have to take one more extra property called integer. How it is like this: public class product. Under that private into product ID. The next private string product name. The next private float price. Apart from these fields, or this properties, we can take one more extra property, that is private int v. Now generate the setter and getter for this property. Public void set v. Now int v. This dot v is equal to v. The next public int get v. Now return v. Close the method, close the class. Close the method, close the class. Then next, after that, second modification in our application, in HBM file, after id element, we can take the one predefined XML tag called version. How it is? Like this. This is the Hibernate dot HBM dot XML. First of all, we have to take the DTD. Then next, Hibernate mapping. The next, class name is equal to class name product. Then table is equal to products. The next, id name is equal to product id. Column is equal to PID. The next, generator class is equal to assigned. The next, close the id. After id element, immediately we can take one predefined XML tag called version. Name is equal to version name is equal to what? V. Column is equal to column name version. Then next, after that, we can configuring the remaining non-primary keys. Property name is equal to product name and column is equal to p name. Property name is equal to price, column is equal to price. Then close the class. Then close the Hibernate mapping. Then next, whenever we are executing this application, we are going to getting the output like this. This is the products table. Under that, PID, version, the next pname, the next version. Right, version. Under that, it is going to be stored into the version number. Right. So now here just observing. First go to the Pojo class and we can add the private int v. Then next, generate the setter and getter for this property. Source, generate, select all, okay. Then next go to the HBM file, and after id element we can take version, name is equal to v. Then next column is equal to version, that's enough. Column name is your choice. Now the database table is going to be created freshly or not? If the database table is going to be created freshly, then we can use what? Create command, right? Create command. Then next go to the client, and I am trying to inserting the one record into database. After getting the session object, then next what we have to do? Create the POJO class object, right? Product P is equal to new product. Product P is equal to new product. Then next after that P dot set product ID 1001. Then next P dot set product name. Then here I am going to take Sony. Then next P dot set price. Here I am going to take 2000. Then next after that transaction tx equal to session dot begin transaction. Then next session dot save of P. The next tx dot commit. The next object is saved successfully. Now just we can run this application. Right click, run as Java application. We are getting property not found exception. What is the problem? Property not found exception. In HBM I am taken version name is equal to v only. Then why? Now we can run, right click, run as Java application. So maybe single letter is not taken by the property name. Okay, so now we have to take 2 or more values. Now we'll see database, select star from products. So now here by default version number is what? 0. By default version number is what? 0. 1001, then 0, the next Sony, okay, Sony, the next here what? Price 2000. This is our output. Whenever we are modifying that version or whenever we are modifying this object, then automatically version number is going to be incremented by, right? See now here I am trying to modifying my object. How to modifying our object? First of all, we have to load our object. After that we can modifying that object. So now here how to load an object? After getting the session object, then what we have to do? Object O is equal to session dot load method, then product dot class, the next new integer of 1001. Then next after that what we have to do? We can typecasting to product class. Product P is equal to product of O. Then next after that P dot set price 4000. Then next after that transaction tx equal to session dot begin transaction. Then next after that session dot update of P. Then next tx dot commit. Then we need to change the DDL command or not? We need to change the DDL command. Otherwise once again database table is going to be created. So now here better to use update. Right click, run as. So now generally version number doesn't having some float numbers, double values. Okay, so must and should we have to take the integer only. Okay, you can go to the bank, sir, can you generate my account number with floating? They are given. Then in the same way here also we have to follow the same concept. Why we are not taking the float means float never will take in version number. We have to take must and should integer value only.
In the software cases, the version 1.0, 1.1 like this, the software will be version.
Okay, that is the technology wise we are going to take, but here it is not possible. Must and should we have to take same only, right? So now Java application. We will see here what is the version number here? 1, right? Now I am going to trying to executing once again. Whenever we are executing once again, version number is changed or not changed?
Yes.
So now version number is changed or not changed? Not changed. That is the reason here query also is not generated. Why? Because we are not modifying an object inside the cache memory. Whatever object is there, now the same object is there in database. If you are modifying, then only version number is going to be generated. Here, instead of 4000, I am going to take 5000. At that time, version number is going to be generated. Whatever object we are loaded from DB to front-end application, now the same object is available to the inside the database also. At that time, okay, query is not generated. That means query is not generated means we are not updating to the database. See now here, right click, run as Java application. Now it is modified. Then only it is going to update it to the database. Okay. So now I'll see the database. So version number is what? 2. Version number is what? 2. Like this, whenever we are modifying an object, then only version number is going to be generated. Without modifying the cache memory, that effect is not done database. That is the JDBC level only. But here we are going to maintain the cache memory. That cache memory doesn't affect it on database without modifying. Right? This is the versioning concept. Versioning concept. Then next we will see the timestamp. Timestamp concept. Timestamp concept. Whenever we are using the versioning concept, we are going to see the only version number only. We are going to see only version number only. But we are not finding the date and time. We are not finding the date and time. If we want to store the date and time along with our record, along with our object, we have to go for what? Timestamp concept. Okay, we have to go for timestamp concept. If we want to apply the timestamp concept, we have to do the following 2 modifications in our application. Number 1, in our POJO class, we can take the one predefined class called that is timestamp. Timestamp. The next here how it is public class product. Under that I am taken private int product ID. The next private, then string, product name. The next private, int float, price. The next private, we can take one predefined class called that is timestamp. Okay, TS. Now generate the setter and getter for this property. Generate setter and getter methods. Then close. Timestamp is the predefined class available to the java.sql.star package. java.sql.star package. Now second modification, Hibernate dot HBM dot XML. First we have to take the DTD. The next Hibernate mapping. The next class name is equal to product only. Product column and table is equal to products. The next after that ID name is equal to product id, product id. Column is equal to PID, PID. The next generator class, generator class is equal to assigned. The next close the id. After id element, immediately we can take timestamp. Timestamp. Versioning and timestamp both at a time it is not possible. We can follow either versioning or we can follow the timestamp. Timestamp name is equal to TS. Column is equal to TS time. After that we can configuring the property. Property name is equal to product name. Property name is equal to price. The next close the class. The next close the Hibernate mapping. Hibernate mapping. Now we will see this example practically. Now we will see this example practically. Whenever we are compiling and executing this application, we are going to getting date and time. If we want to getting the time also, we have to create the manually that database table. If we want to only date, then we can use what? Okay, directly framework is take care about to creating the database table. Now we'll see here. Go to the product.java. Under that we can remove this version property. After that we can define here private timestamp TS. We need to import the here SQL package. Import java.sql.star package. SQL.star package. After that generate the setter and getter methods. Source, generate setter and getter. After that go to the HBM file. We can remove this versioning and we can take timestamp. Name is equal to TS. The next column is equal to TS time. The next close. After that we have to create the database table freshly. Then create. The next go to the client application. We can try to insert one record into database. After getting the session object, then product P is equal to new product. Then next after that P dot set product ID 1001. The next P dot set product name. Now Sony. The next P dot set price 2000. The next transaction tx equal to session dot begin transaction. The next after that session dot save of p. The next tx dot commit. The next object saved successfully. Now we'll see here, right click, run as Java application. So now object is saved successfully. So now here we are getting what? Only date, right? Only date. If we want to getting the time also, we have to create the manually database table that will take care about the DBA peoples. Now how it is? Drop table name is what? Products. The next create table name is what? Products. Under that PID number type. The next TS time. Then data type is timestamp. The next P name varchar 2 of 10. The next price number now 7, 2 scale and precision. So now table is created, right? After that go to the application. Now here instead of using create command, we can use what? Update. If you are using the create, then once again it is going to be dropped. If you are using the update, now existing database table is going to be utilizing our framework. The next right click, run as Java application. Now we'll see, go to the database, select star from products. Time is stored or not? Time is going to be stored, right? Time is going to be stored. When this time is going to be modified? Whenever we are modifying that object, loading and we can modifying that object, then only that time is going to be modified. Until unless that time never be changed. Okay, after loading an object, must and should we need to modifying like a versioning, then only it is going to be changed, otherwise it doesn't change. This is the timestamp concept. This is the timestamp concept. The next here life cycle of Pojo class object. Life cycle of Pojo class object. Life cycle of Pojo class object. Life cycle of Hibernate Pojo class object. Pojo class object. Life cycle of Hibernate Pojo class object. So now initially every object is transient state. Okay, transient state. Transient state. Transient state. Transient state. The next second phase is persistency state. Persistency state. Persistency state. The next third stage is detached state. Detached state. Every object having these three stages are having every object. When our object is become transient state to persistent state, whenever we are using the save method, then this object is become transient state to persistent state. Otherwise, Hibernate 4.x they are going to use one more method, that is persist method. Compared to save method, persist method is given to the more performance. Otherwise, we can use save or update. Save or update. We can use any one of the method and we can save an object. Then next, when our object is become persistent state to detached state, that means whenever we are closing an object, session dot close, then it is become what? Detached state. Detached state. Detached state. Right? When our object is persistent state, we can use right and merge. When our object is become persistent state to transient state, delete method we can use, then it is become persistent state to transient state. See, for example, student S is equal to new student. Now S dot set student ID. Student ID 1001. S dot set student name. Then Raj. The next S dot set marks 2000. After that, transaction TX is equal to transaction TX equal to session dot begin transaction. Begin transaction. This is transient state. This is a transient state. Transient state. The next, when our object is become transient state to persistence state, we can use session dot save method. This is what? Persistency state. Persistency state. The next, when our object is become persistency state to detached state, session dot close. Session dot close. This is the detached state. Detached state. This is the detached state. Like this, totally 3 stages are there. 3 stages are there. Okay, every object. Load and get method also comes under here. Load and get method functionality also is coming here. This is the object life cycle. This is the object life cycle, right? That's all for today. The next we will see the tomorrow what is that inheritance concept. Inheritance concept, right? After that we will see the connection pooling one by one we will see the. Okay, fine, thank you. Tomorrow I will continue.